G's, no design on my jacket. Work hard and I'm changing my bracket. Talk tough, we ain't hear that racket. Dots came and you know how to stack it. Don't take it wrong, but I'ma need my ends though. I got tigers on my chest like Kenzo. Rail came, yeah, he pulling that Benz though. Cows here, man, you know he stay 10 toes. Big dog, man, you know I ain't worried. Bent up, so I'm talking real slurry. Got a blast, bro, I'm always in a hurry. Big Drake, shoot dirty like Curry. Take a yerky.
You know what really charged my wheels? When websites and apps you're using randomly sign you out at the worst possible time. Your boss has sent you something urgent, but you can't reply in time due to the site telling you to sign back in your two-factor authentication mess. And suddenly you're unemployed and out on the streets. Hey, if it happened to me, it could happen to you. Okay, maybe it's not that dire, but the services that end your session with no warning are infuriating. So why does it happen? Typically, it comes down to the service trying to keep you secure in some way. And I get it, staying safe online is super important. But why is signing you out a solution? Typically, services can sign you out after a certain amount of time has passed since your last sign in, or since you were last active. This is to help prevent an attacker who has broken into your account from having access to it indefinitely. Let's say that someone gets into your PC when you're already signed in to a service that you use all the time, having an expiration date on your session, which can be done through the use of cookies. If you're going through a web browser, which means that at some point the attacker will need to actually have your password and possibly your two-factor device to get back in. Different services can set very different sign-in intervals, explaining why you might never have problem with something like Twitter, while Gmail can be very annoying when you're trying to pull an important work message or a sheet or a doc. Of course, this sign-in duration thing isn't actually foolproof, so a service might make you sign back in if it detects something as a miss through a technique called fingerprinting. This is when a service collects data on you, which makes it easier to identify you. And although this obviously raises privacy concern, it can help from a security perspective. For example, sites can track everything from your location to the size of the screen you're using to your audio configuration, and if there's enough change in those things the next you use a service, it may trigger a request to sign in again, just in case these changes aren't the result of simply using a laptop in a different location when you get off the airplane, and it's actually the result of an attacker trying to drain your bank account. But because fingerprinting has plenty of privacy-conscious critics, certain browsers are trying to make it difficult for services to track you for any reason. Therefore, it's becoming more and more common for browsers to block or delete tracking cookies, especially if they originate from a different domain. One funny example is, if you're trying to use Microsoft Teams, your browser might be deleting cookies from Skype.com, which actually ties into the Teams service. So you might get prompt to sign in more often than you'd expect, or even more often than Microsoft themselves would like. Thanks, Microsoft. Alright, fine. All this inconvenience is there to keep me safe. That might be alright if this actually works as intended, but it often doesn't. Sometimes you can sign out because your organization doesn't manage saved credentials correctly. A huge problem with services often used for office communication like Teams and other times authentication issues can rear their ugly heads. For example, the much-aligned Microsoft Teams works together with the Microsoft Authenticator app if you're trying to use it on a smartphone. So if Teams is misbehaving, you might burn lots of time trying to solve the issue with the Teams app itself, when the actual solution is to clear the authenticator's cache and restart it. So the bottom line is that unless something on your device or within the organization is configured incorrectly, you might be at the mercy of the services themselves. So stay cool if you're randomly asked to sign in again, and remember not to try to punch in your 20-character password while you're driving on a freeway. The cops probably won't buy the excuse of being safety conscious, but you'll buy my excuse to hit the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe.
G's, no design on my jacket. Work hard and I'm changing my bracket. Talk tough, we ain't hear that racket. Dots came and you know how to stack it. Don't take it wrong, but I'ma need need my ends though. I got tigers on my chest like Kenzo. Rail came, yeah, he pulling that Benz though. Cows here, man, you know he stay 10 toes. Big dog, man, you know I ain't worried. Bent up, so I'm talking real slurry. Got a blast, bro, I'm always in a hurry. Big Drake, shooting dirty like Curry. Take a yerky, ain't know he stay passed up. You don't catch him late night, do you ass up? No unk real, how to put the E-class up. They like, X nigga, how you take the fast